Oh, good morning. This is Sherry Cheever. Last week on my blog, Walking on the Bad Side, I posted a box for the Tailored Expressions blog hop that had the porcelain flowers on the top made with Spellbinder dies. It's this one right here. So what I want to do today is to show you how to make those flowers. And I'm calling it Faux Porcelain. I don't know that there's another name for it, so I'm going to call it that until someone emails me and says, hey, I've done that before and this is what I've called it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go get some more coffee and then we'll get started. Thank you. Alrighty, now I'm back. I've got my coffee and we're all set to go. Before I start, I'll show you. I've already die cut and folded the pieces of the flower that I will be working with, and they just fit together like so, and once we start working with them in the UTEE, you'll see how it just kind of all comes together. First, what I do is I have my die cut piece and I cut down from one of the petals down to the center of the flower. If you go past, that's okay, because we want it to be able to line up right like this without any problems. So using my favorite glue, which is Ranger Matte Accents or Glossy Accents, I prefer the matte though for jobs like this. I'm just going to apply a little bit of the glue and then just stick it together. To hold it while it's drying, since I do a number of these pieces at one time, I use a little clothespin that I got at Target in the dollar section, and it just holds it nicely, and I can set it to the side to dry. Now, I already have one that we've dried, and before we put this in the UTEE, we want to form this. So I will push up through the bottom, making a little dent, and then just start rounding the flower edges. You can shape them however you want. I have mine pointing down and a little crooked. If they tear, I find that it's no big deal because it adds a little character to the flower itself. So then we have a section of the flower that is ready to dip into the UTEE. Now hopefully my UTEE is melted. We'll move the melting pot over and have a look. And it looks good to me. So what I'll do is, starting with the base of the flower, I'm just going to dip it into the UTEE. I have a pair of tweezers, which will help me work this around and then pull it out. You want to make sure both sides are covered well. As you can see, it bubbles and it's turning white, but the white's no big deal. Don't get alarmed. It will eventually, it just goes away. So I need to get the center of this flower piece, if I would quit burning my fingers. And now that I have this, I'm going to pull it up and let it drain. Hopefully. There we go. Just hold up your flower piece and let the excess UTEE drain off. Now I'm using my Ranger non-stick craft sheet, and I'm going to just lay my flower piece down on the sheet. No big deal. We'll start again with the next layer, and we're just going to build this flower from the bottom up. So I'm going to keep dipping each layer into the UTEE, making sure I get it covered well, and draining each piece of the excess UTEE. Now when you bring this out and you apply it to the bottom layer, you might need a little help getting it off, but what's great about it is where it falls, it stays most of the time, and the UTEE actually acts as your glue to hold everything into place once it dries. We have one more layer, and all of these layers have been cut and folded over one time. I didn't cut any of the excess out. I just folded it over and glued it so that it could have some type of shape. And we have, there's our third layer. As you can see, it just kind of sets there. And we're just going to keep going. I hope you're patient with me. Your tweezers might get a little sticky, and that's okay if they do. Once the UTEE hardens, you can it just comes right off. All you have to do is peel it off. And we'll work it down. If it doesn't go right where you want it to be, you've still got a little bit of time to move it around. Now I happen to have 2 sets of tweezers that I work with because I don't want to wait. And this piece, we're going to drain it and lay it down here. I think we're going to need a little help with this one, and we are, but it's there. And now for the final piece, it's just a little itty bitty piece from the inside, and I didn't even cut it. I just folded it up and wadded it up into a little ball and unfolded it, and it's ready. And it will be the inside of the flower. And I'm just going to lay it right there. Now that's done. I'm going to, since the UTEE pot is very hot, I'm going to move it out of my way. And this UTEE dries quickly. Anything extra you can clip off or just kind of peel away, as the little furry things are. Excuse me. But as you can see, I was able to pick it right up off my craft sheet. I can already touch it. And it's a little rough, but we can just smooth those out. And actually, let's try this, because I haven't done it yet. But let's take our heat gun. And it melts those edges right away. How perfect is that? It melted the excess where I had it, and I'm all ready with my flower embellishment to add it to a box, a book, anything I want to add it to. Maybe a calendar, a frame, I don't know. Have fun. Make a couple, add them to whatever your project is, and then let me see them. I'd love to see what you do.